Can you tell me about the soul? When death comes, what will follow? What will be revealed when you go? Is a question that we all must know. Do you know about the soul?
Assalamu alaikum, a brand new upcoming class on the book by Sheikh Kareem Abu Zaid, The Souls of the Dead, being taught by Ustada Layla Nash Shiva. Yes, right here, every Saturday and Sunday, 9:30 p.m. Eastern. You are not going to want to miss this. Join us. Streaming on all major platforms. Channel Sunnahfollowers.
Every believer must know.
I'd like to welcome everybody to our new class. This is our new class entitled The Souls of the Dead. And this is based on the newest book put out by Dr. Kareem Abu Zaid entitled The Souls of the Dead. And I hope that everybody will go to Amazon.com and get a copy of this book. The book is $19.99, and you do want to buy this book. Because yes, I've taught a class on the souls of the dead in the past, but I'm going to take you to a different level. We're going to answer the questions that so many of you have about what happens to the dead. And I'm going to go into details that I never went into details about with you before. But now there's a need for me to go into detail because there are so many videos that Sufis have put out with so much misinformation, and the truth has to be told. For example, tonight we are going to complete chapter 1 of this book, and we have already answered the question. The first question that many people ask: do the dead remember their lives in this world when they leave it? And this is a good question to ask, because when we come in this world, because as we discussed yesterday, twice does Allah create us. When Allah first created us, when we originally come in this world, we don't remember our lives from whence we came. We don't remember nothing about the lives we led before we came here. Okay, so it's normal that we would ask, well, once we leave, do we forget everyone and everything here? Well, we answered that question yesterday. We spoke about how there's two evidences to prove that, yes, we do remember the people that we came in contact with here, our loved ones. And yes, we do remember our lives here. And I want you guys to pay attention when it comes to speaking about this religion, anything about Islam, the unseen or even the seen, everything in this religion, it has to be backed up with evidence, clear evidence from the Quran and the authentic hadith. We can't sit around and form our own opinions or make our own analogies. That's what separates this beautiful way of life from any other way of life. That's why Allah says anyone who dies upon a way other than Islam, it will never be accepted from them, because this way, total submission, is based on evidences given to us by Allah, not by man. Okay? So Allah tells us that even though we come into this world with no memory of what we did, when we were there, wherever he keeps our souls, he lets it be known that when we leave, we do remember everything that we did here. And we went over the first evidence yesterday from the beautiful story of the martyr that Allah presents to us in Surah Yasin. Now today, we're going to go over the second evidence as presented to us from our Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, from what happened in our annuals, our history with our martyrs, the Martyrs of Uhud. So I want everyone to sit back, take notes. For those of you, my sisters here in Malaysia and Singapore and Kuwait and Pakistan, that part of the world, on this program, make sure that you open up a tab on your cell phone to YouTube so that you can see the PowerPoint. Go to my channel. I don't know how it changed from Sunnahfollowers. The name changed to this room here. I don't know what that is. It changed to some Malaysian name. I don't know. But go to channel Sunnahfollowers, which is my YouTube channel, and click on the live stream so you can see the PowerPoint that I'm getting ready to put up on the screen right now. Like everyone else on the other social platforms can see. Yeah, I don't know how it did that. I don't even know what that name means in English. I don't know what that is. But anyway, this is the PowerPoint I'm getting ready to show now. And we're going to complete chapter 1 of this amazing book. And by the way, this is a picture of the book. Yes, Sister Amira, you can see it. Yeah, for the new shahadas in your Zoom room. Yeah, you got some new ones that just joined today. How many is in your Zoom room right now? Oh, you got 55. Okay, mashallah. Wa alaikum salam to all the new shahadas that's joining from across South Africa with Sister Amira's Zoom room. Sister Layla Nashiba's. A pleasure to meet everyone and to have you sisters aboard. And this is a picture of the book. Yeah, I know. A lot of you said you had a hard time finding the book on Amazon. I don't know why it's so hard. Yes, I do. When you type Dr. Kareem Abu Zaid's name, put doctor in front of it. That's what I've discovered. Put doctor in front of it, then it'll pop up. But this is how the book looks. Yeah, the souls of the dead. Doctor, yeah, put Dr. Kareem Abu Zaid. Then it'll, okay, you got it now? It popped up with doctor. Yeah, that's what it is. Yes, 1999, that's the correct one. Yes, that's it. Not that much, yeah. Okay, there, you got it. That's why I use PowerPoint too. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to complete chapter 1 tonight. We're going to go over the second proof, which is from the authentic hadith. Okay, we're going to go over what happened with the Martyrs of Uhud. And we're going to close out chapter 1. We're going to bless it with a kiss, the final, and then go over final reflections that you can walk away with, which seals it with a kiss. That yes, the dead do remember their lives from this world. So if you listen to those Sufi lectures on YouTube from those famous brothers, those famous khatib, and the women too, you know, speaking about how they don't remember stuff and all of that, you can just totally disregard it. All right? So let's sit back and take notes. And yes, for those of you who don't have the book yet, feel free to take screenshots and print them out at the end of the class and staple them together like a book. So let's speak about what happened with the Martyrs of Uhud. And just to let you guys know, they were 70 in number. And each one of those martyrs were a flame of sincerity. Each one of those martyrs were a bearer of truth and a soul that rose in defense of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And among them were men whose names echo through time. They were not merely heroes of a battle, but these were men who were lovers of Allah, whose final breath was a pledge of allegiance. El-Wala, El-Wala. No one wants to speak that word today, but these men and women, they spoke the words El-Wala wal-Bara and shouted it out from the mountaintop of Uhud. And they pledged their allegiance to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his mission. Okay? And foremost amongst these men was Hamza, the son of Al-Muttalib. He was the uncle of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Not only was he his uncle, he was also his brother through nursing. And he was the one whom the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam would later refer to as the leader of the martyrs in paradise. And at his side fell his nephew, Ibn Josh al-Asadi, and Uthman ibn al-Makhzumi, who was also known as Shamas because of his radiant beauty and his presence. Subhanallah. Not only did the Quraysh who stood by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam's side fall as martyrs on that mountain, but also the Ansar, they too poured out their allegiance, El-Wala, upon that battlefield. From the Aus, we remember Amir ibn Mad al-Ausi. Who was he? He was the brother of Saud ibn Muad. Also El-Harith ibn Aus, and the noble martyr Hanzala. Hanzala! Who was Hanzala? He was the one whose body was washed by the angels, earning him the title Ghasil el-Malaika. Subhanallah. Subhanallah. Others followed suit. They too were pure in faith. They too were eager in sacrifice. They too had no problem with El-Wala, El-Bara. Amir ibn al-Jamuh and his son Khalad, they both fell together as father and son. Also Abdullah ibn Jubair, who was the commander of the archers, whose station was overrun, but whose allegiance to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam never wavered. And also El-Yaman, the father of Hudayfa ibn El-Yaman, who unknowingly was martyred during the chaos by friendly fire, a wound that never dimmed his son's wisdom of allegiance. Also, another tribe From the Khazraj and the tribe of El Harith came names that echo through the pages of history even today, such as Anas ibn el-Nadr, who was unable to participate in Badr, but he prayed. He prayed that Uhud would be his redemption. He fought seeking the paradise that he could already smell. Also Abu Hubayra ibn al-Harith and Ubadah ibn al-Hashas and al-Hajjadr ibn Ziyad al-Balawi. These names are lesser known to the masses of people today, yet they are still honored in the heavens. Subhanallah. There were fathers and sons, freedmen, noblemen, Quranic memorizers, and warriors of the nights. And among them were Kaysan, the freedman of the tribe of El-Najjar. There was Asr, the servant of Amir ibn Jama. There was Antara, the brave companion of Salim ibn Amir ibn Hadida. Some of their names were known to the Prophet simply by voice and character. Others he would recognize only later by the light shining from their wounds on the day of judgment. That means he never met them. That means these were men he'd never met personally. But nonetheless, none of them were mere casualties of war. They were all souls that longed, and they were all souls that spoke. They stood beneath one flag. By the way, they didn't walk around like you Muslims today, holding flags of a particular country, protesting the qadr of Allah. No, they all walked to the beat of one drum. They all carried one banner, and on that banner was written one statement: La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. That was their banner, the banner of truth. And they all fell with the name of Allah on their lips, and they never protested against Allah's will to send war. When Allah sent war, they simply responded and took up arms when Allah sent the command. They didn't protest to the kafir. They didn't walk the streets of the Roman Empire protesting against it like you Muslims today do. Instead, they dealt with the qadr of Allah, and they fell in line with Allah's qadr and listened to what Allah said about them in the interpretation of the meaning. Think not of those who are killed in the way of Allah as being dead. No, they are alive with their Lord receiving provisions. So they didn't post up pictures of dead people over social media like you Muslims today do. Because the Prophet said, never show our people in their worst. Always remember our people at their best. What would these men, Hamza and all of them, say if they were living today to see how you Muslims today protest Allah's qadr and show us as weak and vulnerable and at our worst. Think about that, Muslims. Let's talk about these companions. Some of these companions who died at Uhud, the great sacrifices they made, such as El-Yaman. Who was El-Yaman? He was the father of Hudayfa. He was martyred not by the enemy, but by a mistake. He was struck down by the fellow Muslims in the chaos of the battle. That happens. The blow was unintentional, but the pain was real. When the news reached his son, Hudayfa, there was no anger. There was no public demand for justice. Listen to what Aisha, radiyallahu anha, says. She said the unbelievers were defeated on the day of Uhud in a manner that was clearly felt amongst them. And then Iblis cried out. He said, "O slaves of Allah, look behind you." So the front ranks of the Muslims turned back and they began fighting each other. They were tricked by Iblis. Hudayfa looked and saw that it was his own father being attacked. So he cried out, "My father, my father." But the people did not stop. They did not hear him. They had killed him. And then Hudayfa said, "May Allah forgive you." But even though his father had been killed, he didn't harbor any anger towards them. And even after the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam ordered that Hudayfa be paid compensation for the mistake and loss of life, he did not accept it. And the Prophet honored him for that. This was not just a moment of tragedy. This was a moment of moral beauty, because the true companions of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, unlike the Muslims today, they were not only warriors on the battlefield, but they were also warriors off the battlefield in character. These were men who fell at Uhud. They did not seek fame. They did not seek money. They did not seek recognition. They did not demand to be remembered. They did not demand to be honored. But their sacrifices speak for them. To every believer who longs for paradise, and for every heart that still asks, how do I follow those who truly love Allah? How do I follow those who truly love the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? These are men of valor. These are men of righteousness. These are men of integrity. Where are these kind of men today? Subhanallah. Let's reflect upon another hadith from our Prophet. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, when your brothers were struck down at Uhud, Allah placed their souls in the bodies of green birds that roam freely in paradise. They drink from its rivers, they eat from its fruits, and they take shelter in lanterns of gold hanging beneath the throne of Allah. They had seen paradise. They tasted its rivers. They rested beneath the throne of Allah, and yet their hearts remain attached. They remembered their companions, those who had survived, those who were still grieving, those who may have doubted or despaired after the loss. So once they experienced the peace and reward that Allah prepared for them, they asked not for more delight, but to reach those who they left behind. When they experienced the sweetness of their food and drink and rest, they said, who will convey to our brothers that we are alive in paradise, being provided for, so they will not lose heart in striving or hesitating in battle, that we are alive, that we are being cared for, so that they will not lose hope, so they will not turn back. They wanted their message to be known, that this path is honored by Allah. So Allah said to them, I will convey it. This is a message for you Muslims today. Many of you have transgressed the limits about what's going on in Gaza, what's going on in the Muslim world with this war. This is not the first war we have seen as Muslims. The companions were at war from the beginning of their conversion to their deaths. The Prophet told us this so that we can know our dead is rejoicing. How many of you are transgressing the limits of Allah with these dead bodies and stuff that y'all posting up? That's haram. When the Prophet was told that Bilal had marched the non-Muslim women through the battlefield and allowed them to see the dead men of their tribe beat, mutilated, and killed, the Prophet became angry and said, Bilal, are you a troublemaker? Cover them bodies up. Don't expose the dead that way. Cover them up. Have some mercy. Have some compassion. We can't even expose the non-Muslims that way at their worst. What are you Muslims doing with these pictures of babies and children and men looking in their worst? That's not Islam. Our Muslims are rejoicing. They're having food. They're having drink. They want to convey to us that they are alive in paradise, that they are being provided for. They want us to know that we should not lose hope. What would they say if they knew that you Muslims here were acting like kafirs? You were protesting against the qadr of Allah. You have become tribal with flags. Our allegiance ain't to no country. Our allegiance is not to a flag. Our allegiance is to Allah. Their path is honored by Allah. Your path is not honored. You have transgressed Allah's laws. The companions didn't do that. Shame on you Muslims today. You're disgraceful. You are disgraceful. You are disgraceful to the martyrs, to yourself. You're not like this. You shame the dead. You shame the dead. You shame yourself. You cause more harm than good. You're just like the kafir. The Prophet said you'd imitate them. You'd follow them into a hole like a lizard. That's what you Muslims today in 2025 have done. You've emulated the kafir into a hole like a lizard. You're not like these men of Uhud. Let me tell you about another sacrifice, because these noble men did not die in defeat. They gave their lives at a moment when courage was rare, sincerity was tested, hypocrisy was exposed, and what they left behind was not only blood, but stories that continue to awaken the fitra of hearts centuries later, the fitra of those of us like myself who truly believe. Let me tell you about the one who will limp into Jannah. His name was Amir ibn al-Jama. He was a man of age and disability. He had a limp so severe that his sons tried to keep him from fighting at Uhud. They told him, "Oh, father, you have an excuse. Allah has exempted you from fighting because of your limp." But his heart would not accept it. He went to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said, "O Prophet of Allah, can I not walk into paradise with this limp?" The Prophet was so touched by his resolve that he said, "Yes, go ahead, come on and fight with us." So this man went onto the battlefield carrying more love than muscle, more resolve than strength, and he died as a martyr. And when he died, the Prophet said, "Guess what? I saw Amir ibn al-Jama walking in paradise without a limp." What would this companion say if he saw how you Muslims acting about what's going on about Gaza today? War is war. War comes from Allah. Don't weep for our dead. He would say, "What are you weeping for? Our dead are alive. We're alive. Why are you people transgressing Allah's laws with these dead pictures of babies and children?" We don't do that. We don't disgrace our people that way. We don't show our people at their worst. We show them at their best. Because look at me. I don't have a limp no more. Why are you showing people at their worst? They don't look like that in paradise. They're not blown to smithereens like that in paradise. Our children are alive. Our children are not like that. Why are you leaving those children's parents with terrible memories of them like that when they're children on the day of judgment? Those children are going to grab their parents by the finger and plead for them to enter paradise. Why are you leaving those children's parents with terrible memories? These companions would spit at you for what you're doing. You wicked, weak, uneducated, ignorant Muslims of today, of 2025, who don't even know what al-wala wal-bara is. You have no allegiance to Allah, to the Prophet, to this religion, and you don't do al-bara. You become a part of your environment. You become secular. You ain't nothing. You're secular. You people don't know nothing about Islam. With your banners, your flags, your protesting the qadr of Allah, you shame the dignity of Islam. You take away from what these men died for. You shame me as a woman. Where are the men? You're not a man representing me. I'm a true martyr like these people. Subhanallah. You're not men. You're wimps. So Allah, He honored the request of the Martyrs of Uhud. He sent down a verse of the Quran that echoes to the end of time. He sent down this verse that you weak, twisted brothers and sisters of today who call yourselves Muslims, who don't know what al-wala wal-bara is or means, need to ponder. Think not of those who are killed. That includes Gaza. Think not of those who are killed in the way of Allah as dead. No, they are alive with their Lord, and they have provisions. They have food. They have shelter. They have water. They have clothing. And they are happy in what Allah has given them of his blessings. They are rejoicing for the sake of those who have not yet joined them, but are left behind, who have not been martyred, that on them no fear shall come, nor shall they grieve. That's what this is, the verse you weak, spineless Muslims of today need to read. And stop crying about the people in Gaza, because they don't need your tears. They don't need anything from you, because they're stronger than you. They don't need nothing from you. They don't even need your supplication, because you're so weak. Your supplication is nothing for them. You do better making do it for yourself, asking Allah to give you knowledge of the basics of Islam, knowledge of the lawful and the unlawful, because most of you Muslims don't have knowledge of the basics, not even how to pray. They don't need anything from you. Nothing, because you're not on their level. Allah says he tests us on our level. The fact that they're dealing with war means they're on a higher level than you. You're not nowhere near them in faith. Subhanallah. And all you're doing is humiliating them and the rest of us. So, for the true martyrs of Uhud, just like the martyrs of Gaza, the martyrs of Bosnia, the martyrs of Afghanistan, the martyrs of Sudan, the martyrs of Yemen, the martyrs of Africa, because this war didn't start with Gaza. This war started with the Bush regime, with Bosnia, with Kuwait, Iraq, with Africa. It started with Sudan and still going on. Muslims are dying all over Africa, Nigeria, all over the Muslim land, Somalia. All those martyrs, their voices were heard. Their longing was honored. Their message to their wounded companions was sealed in the Quran forever. With these martyrs of Uhud, what kind of souls are these? They were not angry. They did not blame. They did not weep for themselves. Their first thought after martyrdom was for those who they left behind, their companions, their brothers in the path, the ones who saw them fall and who felt the pain of loss press into their hearts. And so even as they soared into the skies of Jannah, they remembered. They didn't boast and brag. They didn't gloat. They wanted to comfort. They wanted to comfort the people they left back here, to let them know, if only you could see what we see, to know that we okay. We're better than what you are faced with. They didn't want pity. Just like the people that's dying today in the Muslim lands. They don't want your pity. They don't want that pity party crap. They didn't want praise. They wanted their companions to rise stronger and full of trust in Allah. This is the allegiance, el-wala, of the righteous. They are not satisfied to enter paradise alone. They want their brothers beside them. They want to carry hearts that once fought beside them into a paradise where no one ever falls. So Allah honored the martyrs of Uhud with this verse of the Quran. He gave them this verse. He gave them this remembrance. He gave them this love that lives on. And you would think you knucklehead Muslims today could read this verse and get solace in it and know that what's happening in the war today in Gaza, Bosnia, wherever, that our dead is alive, that y'all wouldn't be freaking out, transgressing the limits like y'all doing, acting like kafirs, protesting the Carter, acting just like kafirs. But no, you people are just, you're numbskulls. You're lost. So ask yourself, would they have remembered you had you stood beside them? Would you have grieved their loss or stood up in their place? Are you the kind of believer, if you were martyred today, would you make others stronger tomorrow? No, none of you would. None of you would. But if you could, honor them. Carry their memory, not with tears, not with flags of countries. That's tribalism. That's haram. Not by protesting Allah's decree. Remember, there is no power, there is no might other than Allah. Honor them. Honor them with courage. Honor them with truth. Honor them with hope. The path they died upon remains open, and the door to honor is not closed. Honor them with Islam, which is what they fought and died for. Stick to the Quran. Stick to the Sunnah. Stop deviating away from it. Follow the example that they set forth for us, and stop deviating away from it. That's how you honor it. So now that we've come to the conclusion of this chapter 1, there's a few things we can walk away having learned. Number 1, the martyrs are alive. They are alive. Honor them. Okay? Their voices are heard and honored by Allah. So, what are the things we can do, okay, for them? We can give in charity on their behalf. We already know that. We can make dua for them, okay? We know that. If they're your parents, okay, any good deeds that you do, your parents are going to receive rewards for it if they're dead, if your parents are Muslim, okay? But we have to remember some things. When it comes to the unseen, anything that we say has to be based on Quran and Sunnah. We cannot make up stuff. I just proved to you that the dead do remember the lives they left here, okay? But when we make statements about what the dead can see, hear, do, or whatever, we have to have clear evidence from the Quran or the authentic hadith, you know, to support it, okay? That's a fact. Also, make dua, asking Allah to forgive your Muslim relatives daily. Like I said, giving charity on their behalf, honor them, by being a good Muslim. Renew your intention to meet them, to be with them in paradise through your action, not emotions. Okay? Take that emotional crap and throw it out the window. Stick to the sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and those companions. Islam never gets old. Islam never changes. If the companions didn't do it, you don't do it. They didn't protest against war. They fought in it. Okay? They didn't carry flags and banners. Our banner is La ilaha illallah. The Prophet fought against that tribalism. He said anybody that ascribes to a flag, a country, is not one of us. We don't do that. Okay? Make your love become a legacy. Let your remembrance bring benefit. Let your grief motivate deeds. Don't let your grief destroy your deeds. So that's the lesson for this week from this book.